Bettina. Bettina Orlopp is CEO, one of the largest banks in Germany, Commerzbank. And I had heard so much about her, they said, you have to meet Bettina. She is really a very different kind of CEO. In what way do you think they thought of you as a different CEO?
Well, first of all, I'm the first female CEO of a large German bank. That probably makes a difference. And well, the rest you probably have to ask. But I try to stay authentic, so people would say that I have not changed a lot over the decades. So
they did say that.
Yeah.
Authentic, accessible, not queenie. And we know what that means. I wanted to ask you about your upbringing. Was finance something in your bloodstream, or that sort of came later?
No, it was pretty much in there. I mean, I followed also a little bit, seems to be the story here, the path of my father, actually. I joined McKinsey. I was second generation, the first second generation partner was McKinsey worldwide.
Really?
Because my father was also a McKinsey partner. And so I learned a lot about business life when I was small. I studied finance. I did a PhD in finance. I nearly spent all my career in banking, so it was basically a very automatic thing to end up in a bank. Probably not leading it, that is not something you plan, but at least ending in one.
Do you have children?
Yes, I have two, 21 and nearly 20, a boy and a girl.
And your career grew as they grew, right? So what was helpful to you in terms of balancing the two?
My husband always picked the right spouse, I would say. Very important for a career. So we really did it together. Then I have spent lots of money into childcare, support, etc. The kids themselves, so they accepted, they are now also studying business, so apparently history goes on.
Well, you're one of a number of women during this summit who has said, find the right partner if you're going to have a successful career. And clearly you found one. Were you the eldest in the family?
No, I have an elder brother.
Ah, okay. Thank you so much. Bettina Orlopp. What are your thoughts? Banking industry, my goodness, open to all kinds.
Well, banking industry is in the middle of everything, right? One should not forget, and one should be also aware of the responsibility we have as a bank, because we are on the one side, we are serving nearly all private clients of all groups, all backgrounds, and then on the other side, we are also financing the economy. We are here in Germany one of the leading banks financing the Mittelstand, the medium-sized corporates, and you need to have clear values, clear policies, and knowing what you want to do and what you do not want to do as a bank. And I mean, we have a history of 155 years, so it's a long history. And you can read about our public position already when you open up our page, because you see where we take positions, where we publicly, be it on sustainability, be it on defense, be it on energy financing, many different things. And I think it's important. And it's what Marina said, it needs to become natural, and it should be also nothing short-term, but long-term. So you can't also change direction, because otherwise you will not make sure that the organization understands it. So you have to embed it in your values, in your beliefs, and that's what we do. We do it on diversity. We have decades of diversity programs, and that helps us, because in the current situation, we do not have to decide to do anything else, because it's a very natural part of us, of our bank, and that makes a big difference. And this is also why we do state that also publicly. If you now go on commerzbank.com, you will see that we have our logo in the moment in the rainbow colors because it's Pride Month. And there has been no debate of not doing that.
I am so glad to hear that. Yeah.
And but it also has to do with the fact that we are doing it solely. We are inclusive. We are aware of the fact that we have 42,000 employees. We have 10 million private clients. So we need to make sure that we have our values, but that we do not exclude anyone. So we need to be very inclusive. And I think that is also very important when thinking about all the things. So, for example, when we now had election in Germany, we were aside with many other German corporates. So we did also sign a declaration for democracy, for freedom. We were asking people to vote. We do things like that. However, what we do not do is taking a stance for a certain party or something
No,
like that.
of course not.
But it's important to differentiate that. Specifically, when you're a very large publicly listed company, it's probably different. When you're a family-owned company, you can even take a position if you want. But that's how we do that, and it works. I think it works perfect, and it's very natural, and it helps us in the moment because we are in less stress than others to think about what to do with our programs.
The company's walking the talk, is what you're saying. The male CEOs yesterday talked about how do you keep trust? All the websites in most companies will say they're inclusive, we're fair, we are, sustainably conscious. They will all say that. But as Marina said, there are some who have pulled back and become more silent. So it's not a question of those principles and that mission not being there from the beginning, especially when you are, a legacy company that's been there a long time. But there has been a pullback. It's a reality. And I'm so glad for the public commitment, that the bank has made through you, because you
Banking
are
is
the current, leader of the bank, and that makes a difference.
and banking is all about trust. So we are an expert in that. A bank without trust cannot exist. So I think we are very well aware of the fact on how you have to preserve that, how you have to earn that, and how you have to prove that day by day. Otherwise, a bank, a financial institution, is in deep trouble, I can tell you.
I can just imagine.
Yeah, I mean, back also to your question. I mean, what is our obligation as CEO, as teams, is creating value, I think, creating value for all our stakeholders, meaning it's the shareholders, but also the customers and the employees. Because at the very end, I think we are well aware that most companies, at least a service organization like a bank, can only organize if the whole three stakeholder groups are in balance. So we need the shareholders to provide the capital, otherwise we can't do what we do. We need the customers, because otherwise we will not have a business model, very simply speaking. And we need to have very committed and dedicated staff and talented staff to make sure that the whole business model is working. And we have we have the conviction that you can only create that if you have diverse teams, because they create value. And that is diversity with respect to background, with respect to international backgrounds, with respect to age, but also with respect to gender. And we also see that one of the key points to attract talents is to stick firm on that, to be clear and to stay authentic. We also, and I have to say that we are always compliant to regulatory frameworks, and we have to be in all the countries. It is something, it's an obligation which we all have, but within this boundary, you can do a lot, and you should do a lot, and stick to your values. And I think it's also important for the culture, because we experience in the moment a rather difficult phase in the bank because of some things. But we have a very strong culture. We have this proud to be yellow. My heart beats yellow. That's for Commerzbank, and it's so important. And I think one point why we have that is that we have a culture which is not changing, which is a fighting culture and which is a supporting culture and which is a one team culture. And that's all about inclusion, that you make sure that you include all people. We have 120 nationalities in our bank. We need to make
Really?
sure that we are inclusive. We have 50% females in the workforce. We need to be inclusive. We are not as good as you are with respect to leadership, but at least we have 38% female in leadership, which is already the right step. And we will continue this effort. And I agree. I mean, it's with diversity programs. I always said that when I was even a consultant with McKinsey doing Women Matter studies, I always said if the CEO is not convinced, you will never get it done. So it's a CEO who stands out, who needs to support programs like that.
Thank you.
Well, a lot has been said. I mean, staying authentic, sticking to your values, executing and listening to the people, and over-communicate. I think over-communication is always important. You can't communicate too little. You always because it's too much because you can only communicate too little, and that's specifically true for the younger ones who wants to be involved. They want to be activated. They want to be part of it. And I think the best thing is to make them part of the networks, to make them part of the initiatives, and to give them engagement, to give them a meaning, and then you can also keep them. But it's not only. I mean, I have the feeling it's not only important for the young talents. I feel that there is a need for that across the generations, to say it like that. And it's an important factor for many people, at least in our company.
For any company, how do you engage the boomers with the Gen Zers and the millennials?
Well, a lot about, first of all, by working together. They're all together in a team, and that brings us back to the question on what's the best way on working together today. We have probably one of the most flexible mobile working policies you can think of, because the teams can decide. We only want them at least to have one team day, but and the rest they can decide. But we also say that there is the target to stay 2 to 3 days in the office, to form the culture, to make sure people meet, that young people are trained by senior ones, and it's working out pretty nicely, but it's fully flexible, so it's a decision by the different teams. But this working together, I think, is an important one. Trainings are another one. Also, I mean, having it written down so people can read it, making trainings on it is important. We have a code of conduct, as probably everybody else, yellow compass, and you need to have that to make sure that they find that and that they see it. And we also reiterate that in town halls, in get-togethers, and but just actions. We also want to have a thank you culture. So we do a lot of thank yous, gatherings, and things like that to
I like
value
that.
what people do. We have the rule that when we see someone did something well in the board, someone is calling up this person. It's not money or something. It's just a call by the CEO or by someone else saying, "Oh, I heard you did a great job. Thank you very much for that." That is something about values.